Hello, good evening. I'm Dhananjay Sathe. I work at Rabyuta Robotics. Today I'm here to talk about jumping from ROS 1 to ROS 2. It's something we all are trying to do, and it's a hard thing to do, right? So I think we're making this switch, but we're getting stuck, right? And one of the reasons, and when I looked this up, um, the idea of today's meetup is to talk about ROS 2, but the reality is a little bit different, right? These are stats I pulled on 18th August, and you find that we still are a far way to go. And there are people out here working hard, we're all working hard to make ROS 2 happen. But this is sort of where we are in reality. And why does that happen? What does that mean for all of us? So ROS1 works, it is mature. It works well inside a single robot on localhost. All the developers that you have building your applications are super familiar with ROS already. And there are tools, and one of the biggest challenges, so in my company, I was trying to promote people to start using ROS 2 for everything new, right? But the developers come back saying, hey, ROS node info doesn't work, or ROS topic info doesn't work the way I'm used to it, and I'm not able to debug. And those tools are getting better, but we still have a way to go. And we are all engineers, and we all love doing these things. We have a lot of fun building new stuff. But then there's always this business and product person who comes and says, hey, no, I want a product. And you can't do all this. I want to give this to the customer. And that's the world we live in, right?
じゃあ簡単に大体今までのところは、ここにいる人はロス2を推進したくていろいろやってると思うんですけども、なかなか現状実際のダウンロードの数値とか見るとまだまだロス1が使われていて、で彼も社内でロス2を使うようにいろいろ言ってるけど、実際ツールがまだ揃ってなかったりとか、プロダクトにする上で今すぐロス2が使えるのかっていうとそうじゃないとか、そういう問題があってなかなか言ってないと。でその辺をなんか橋渡しする必要があるんじゃないかっていうのが、ポイントですね。
So there is a project that I'm sure everybody has seen. It's called the ROS 1 bridge. It is a ROS 2 package, however, right? A little known fact is it comes in 3 versions. There is a static bridge, which you build for your own topic and messages every time. There is the dynamic bridge, which bridges everything from ROS 1 to ROS 2 or ROS 2 to ROS 1. And there's a parameter bridge, where you can set in the parameters, you can set a param saying, I want to bridge topic foo and topic bar and service add to ints, and it'll bridge those. It uses a lot of CMake magic to make both ROS 1 and ROS 2 work together internally. And one of the challenges when using this bridge is actually the type translation, right? You have different types in ROS 1 and ROS 2. Someone might change something. So you have a bunch of pain points, right? When you start using this package, and that's the journey we had. We started using the ROS 1 bridge, which is a ROS 2 package, which meant everybody had to now learn how to use Qualcomm. It is similar to Catkin, but it's not exactly the same. It also means if you're working with ROS 1 and ROS 2, you end up polluting your LD library path and your Python path, which make all your CLI tools break. The same for run, right? ROS 2 launch is different from ROS 1 launch. And what this means is a lot of us have this robot bring up ROS launch file that we probably put into our init system. Now, just because you have to run a ROS 2 package, you need something else to manage both of those. Okay. And there is one more thing, which is type conversion, which I talked about earlier. You have to have sort of the same service and message files. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The bridge doesn't really tell you if it fails. And there are some corner cases. Although ROS1 and ROS2 message definitions look very similar, they're not identical. Some names that are legal in the ROS1 spec are illegal in the ROS2 spec. And there is a difference in types. So you have to play around enough till it actually works. And otherwise, there's a mapping rule which you can use to map between a different type with different names. And when something changes, you do all of this all over again, right?
You will do demo time?
No, there's one more slide.
Oh.
And there is confusion, right? If I use the dynamic bridge, the clock or the TF from one robot might end up in the other robot, and that's going to be a pain. It's going to be a problem. You're going to be sad like that robot. And if you bridge specific topics using the parameter bridge, you sort of have to know everything beforehand. So if you just add a new robot, it may not work. It doesn't have the dynamism required. So what I'm going to do now is, where have we all ended up because of all of this? We all build robots to automate our lives, to do stuff we don't want to do. And we've ended up with having to do more stuff to get that done. So it's like an unending loop. One of the solutions to all of this is actually automating this problem out, right? There is a pattern. There is always a way of doing this. So what I'm going to do now is actually show you a small demo of a piece of software that we call the ROS1-2 bridge. Okay? And I'll explain along the way. Now, it is a C++ compilation that will happen. So it will take 8 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to start this off and then let Yuchan sort of talk you through it, and then come back to the result and discuss what it helps you do. So,
さっきまでの話は、今日ロスワンブリッジっていうのがあるので、それを使えばいいんじゃないかって話なんですけども、いろいろペインポイントがあると、環境変数が侵食されるとか、ポルコンと、カトキンのいろいろとか、でそういうのが全部、ざっくりと面倒くさいので良さげなツールを作りましたよっていうので今デモをしてます。ちょっとざっくりすぎる。
So this is my ROS2 workspace. This is my ROS1 workspace. I'm taking a simple package called Smash. It's not yet into ROS2, but the idea is to demonstrate a particular thing. So what I'm going to do now is add a new message to the same package. This could be any message. It could be any kind of package that you have. So
これ使いますか。はい、どうぞ。
Okay, love it.
どうぞ。
So, messages. Let's go in and copy this and create a new message. And let's add a bunch of fields into it. Right? And we're used to doing all of this. So what we're going to do is have something out here called ROS2 Tokyo meet.msg. So I've added a new message into this package, right? Now I have another package out here. I'm going to start just building this. I think that's all I need to do. So I have a new package out here, and I'm going to depend on this package here. So I'm going to say I'm going to depend on Smash messages. So I do dependency tracking. And at the same time, I'm going to go to my YAML file and add this as a dependency. And the same thing you can do basically in CMake lists, and basically just say, okay, I want to depend on Smash messages. Now, what you're looking at here is a native ROS1 package. So now, I'm going to basically sorry, yeah. So I 16. I exported two paths, which is basically the ROS1 workspace path and the ROS2 workspace path. And then I just went ahead and started building my package. Now, you can explain. In the meantime, this will take 8 to 10 minutes, but the output is really interesting. Previous section, if you have anything.
今までのところで、ロスワントゥブリッジっていう、今回話しているパッケージを必要なための設定とかをしてます。で、基本的にはロスワンのメッセージを、新たに今このデモ用に作ってディペンデンシーを足したりっていうことをしてます。で、今こっちはロスワンは。
Yeah.
で、こっちのロスワンのワークスペースでその新しく設定したメッセージを入れた上でカットキーのビルドをしてます。で、これが7 to 8。
Yeah.
大体7から8分ぐらいかかるだろう。
So, in the meantime, I wanted to run you through something else. Come on. Come on. No. Okay,
So you have 10 more minutes, so keep calm.
Yeah. 1 second. They just. Ah, shit. I made a mistake.
せっかくなんで今質問タイムとかにすると面白いかもしれない。岡本さんも喋れるはずですので。
ある程度は。ちなみに多分彼のプロフィールを話してなかったので、彼は普段インドのバンガロールでうちの拠点で、うちのメインのプロダクトのラプタドット IO っていうクラウドプラットフォームのアーキテクトをやってて、初期からいて一通りのことは全部知ってるのは彼です。で、僕が何回かロスの勉強会で発表させていただいたメッセージのとことかも基本全部彼が作ったのを、僕が教えてもらって発表している形なんで、
I'm just going to use Hello Tokyo for now.
Sorry?
I'm just going to use Hello Tokyo for now. And this will be
ちょっと昨日の作ったハロー東京っていうメッセージでの方でフィールドします。
I think I messed up something in the demo, but the idea behind this is primarily this is what you have to do in the normal ROS1 bridge case, which is first create your packages in ROS2, write that mapping file, compile the ROS2 stuff, then source the ROS1 stuff, source the ROS2 stuff, and compile the bridge, and repeat. That is the most optimal workflow that you have. Then comes the problem of the launch. So you have to launch your ROS1 node, again source ROS1, source ROS2, and run the ROS2 bridge, and have some tool to manage all of this together. That is the best that we have right now in the community, right? So when you have these floods, you cry. It can be a lot simpler with this package. It doesn't rewrite the bridge. It manipulates the same old bridge, but it reduces the building to just 2 steps. Basically, Catkin build and ROS launch. So you can think of this as a ROS1 interface to a ROS2 package, and continue using all your tools as is. And what it does for you internally is it is a native ROS1 package. It works with Catkin. We've tested it with Kinetic, Melodic, Crystal, and up to Dashing as well. In fact, I pushed these commits a couple of hours ago. So today I ported it to Dashing. So there are a few rough edges. It can depend on other ROS1 packages, which means if something changes in your previous packages, it will detect that. And it works with ROS launch. Now, what it is doing underneath is manipulating a blank ROS2 workspace. So it automatically uses basically templating to generate native ROS2 packages and handles all the edge cases and translations for you, automatically builds mapping files and all that kind of stuff. And because it's a ROS1 package, it can do dependency tracking and update the sources in ROS2 as well. And we added something to the ROS1 bridge upstream. I've raised a pull request today, which allows you to use regular expressions with the dynamic whitelisting bridge. We call it the dynamic whitelisting bridge. What that means is you give it, in the parameter server, you can give a list of topics and service regular expressions. And it'll allow you to selectively bridge those. So you could give something like star, test, star, foo, whatever, right? And it would automatically detect the types and bridge them over and translate between ROS1 and ROS2. There are a few caveats. I'm still waiting for the build to get done. So you have to use it with our fork of the ROS1 bridge, which is also on GitHub. But hopefully we can have this upstreamed as soon as possible. And you need to use a dedicated ROS2 workspace. Now, if you are one of those developers who uses both ROS1 and ROS2 a lot, since this package manipulates your ROS2 workspace, there is a chance that something might go wrong in your ROS2 workspace because we're manipulating files in a file system. So one way of getting around this, or what I've found to work, is let either ROS2 or ROS1 be the source of truth. In this case, we're choosing ROS1 message definitions as the source of truth. And one good piece of advice if you're building ROS applications is actually breaking your package into like the package and its messages and sort of having a dependency between them. It just makes your code more usable. It's a generally good practice in ROS1 as well. And of course, as you saw, there are some rough edges and issues around this. And you might find a few more. But if you use it, it makes your life a lot easier than what it currently is. And I'm more than happy to accept PRs and collaborators to work on this. I think you can explain. I'll go back to the presentation. Yeah. Ah, fuck.
Okay. So you can do demo on the networking time.
Yeah.
だそうです。でまだ通訳のタイミングがよく分かんなくてあんましてないんですけど、まあこの彼はロスワンツブリッジっていうものを作って、ロスワンと同じようなやり方でロスワンとロス2の橋渡しができるので、使いやすいだろうっていうのがポイントではあります。Okay, back to the slide.
Yeah.
で一応今日からオープンソースにしているので、いろいろイシューとか PR とか投げてくれればありがたいですという話です。オープンソースtoday.
Yeah, so it was open sourced and ported to Dashing today. Today morning I started porting it to Dashing. We've been using this with Crystal and the previous releases for a couple of months now. It works fairly well, allows us to do a lot of stuff. And you can check out these links. I'll share the link of these slides on the ROSCON, on the ROS Meetup page. So you can definitely check it out. And I think you has a few announcements.
すみません。じゃあ最後に宣伝します。一応でクラウドロボティクスプラットフォームのラクタドット IO っていうのがうちのメインのプロダクトで、少しは無料で試せるので、ぜひ興味があればということと、あとロスコン JP とロスコンにラクタロボティクスでブースを出します。でロスコンマカオの方では一応クワンスタックってジュピターを開発しているところと一緒で、ロスインでジュピターノートブックっていう発表をします。であと We are hiring っていうところと、もう一つオープンソースになっているので、アンフィオンっていうロスメッセージを可視化するための JavaScript ライブラリーがあるので、こちらも面白いので、興味があれば見てみてください。以上で発表終わります。ありがとうございました。
Sorry to demo.